today. We're going to have, they're both assistant directors with parking and transportation at UTEP. First, we have Ms. Betzania Zapata, and then we also have Ms. Nayeli Acevedo. So I will give it all to you all. And I believe you should be able to share a screen if you guys have a presentation or not. But thank you all so much for joining us.
Good evening, everybody. Not sure if you can see my my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, as Ms. Rivas said, my name is Betzania Zapata. I'm one of the assistant directors for parking and transportation, and I also have my partner in crime is Nayeli. She's gonna be also presenting to everybody today. If you need us to repeat something in Spanish, we'll be more than happy to do so. We want to talk to you, to the parents. This is very important information for the parents and obviously for the students. We want to make sure that the parents know and the students know that we're here to help. We really want to make the experience for the freshmen, for the students coming in, an easy transition, because we know that this is something new for them. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that we're here to help. So I want to start off with an overview of parking. Currently, because of the pandemic, we are working remotely. As you can see, we're at home, but it doesn't mean that we're not working. We're still assisting our students, our customers. We assist via email, we assist via phone. So we do a lot of our assistance virtually. So as you can see there in the presentation, there is our email address and also our phone number in case you need anything. Also, we are open on Fridays at our office from 9 a.m. only to 1 p.m. And this is only via appointment. So if you or your student needs to come and see us, you have questions, we ask that you call or email us requesting an appointment, and we'll be more than happy to set up a time during that time frame. And on the next one, on how to buy a permit, I'll give that to Ms. Nayeli.
Thank you, ma'am. So how to buy a permit is probably the question that we get asked the most. Everything is done online for us. So the student actually would be the one logging online with their UTEP credentials and then selecting the permit and the location that they want. This is very convenient, so don't feel like you have to go to the office to see us to do this. Everything can be done online. And we want to specify the payment methods because there are some confusion. So one thing is that add to account, what this means is that it goes to your student account. So as the student is going through the purchasing process, they get different options. So they either get pay in full, which means that you can pay at the time of purchase. And for that, you can use a credit card or a debit card. Or what many of our students do is just add to their student account. So that is very convenient because our permits go on sale in the summer of the year before. So for incoming freshmen that start in the fall, late August, the beginning of September, those permits are going to go on sale in July. We don't have the specific dates yet, but we know that it's going to happen in that month. And there will still be permits by the time they join, but if they already have their credentials and they are enrolled for the fall term, they can go ahead and buy online even before school starts. And the convenience about adding the permit to their account is obviously because you do not have to pay it up front. It just gets billed to their student account and they can pay within that full semester. So they can, make little payments, or they can wait until financial aid comes in, whatever the case might be. But in the application, in our permit application, this option is called pay with term charges. So and in parentheses, it says it posts to your student account, but I did want to clarify that in case you or the student sees this option. The permits are valid for the full fiscal year. So how our years work is that it's from the 16th of August, so August from 2021 through the 15th of the following year. which is August 15th of 2022. So whenever they buy the permit for the summer, it's not valid for July. It's valid until August 16th of that year. So if anybody's taking summer courses, it would cover those because usually those are in the beginning of June and July. Rarely would we have summer courses in August, but usually the first 2 weeks do cover that. And another thing is that permit prices are prorated during the year. So I guess our most inexpensive permit is the evening permit, which is $150. And in that one, because it's an evening permit, they can park in any location, but only after 4 p.m. Any locations on the perimeter areas, not inside campus. That is until 5, and we'll see a little bit more about that later. If the student prefers to, get a closer location to campus, the pricing does vary depending on what location they choose. But they're starting from 150 and then they go up. Now, if let's say for whatever reason the student is starting in the spring, because our permits are only valid through August, if the student is purchasing the permit in January, for example, then they buy the permit at a reduced rate. And the permit prices change every quarter, so every 3 months that occurs. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Nayeli. So now that's great information. And if you need further information, you can also visit our website, parking.utep.edu, and we have a very nice website where you can see further information as well. Now moving on to how to avoid a citation. So this is very important. Oops. Oop, there we go. So key points to remember to avoid receiving a citation is that after the student purchases his or her permit, we want to make sure that it's on display. Very important. We say this is because we live in Hot El Paso, and a lot of the times we cover our windshield with the sunshades, and a lot of times you're in a hurry, you don't even notice, and the permit is hidden behind the sunshade. So we want to make sure that it's on display clearly at all times. The reason for that is because we have our community service guards, so they go to the lots and they check the permits, and we want to make sure that it's clearly displayed for them to review. Also, we want to encourage our students to park in the location where their permit is designated to. So for instance, if the student has a Sunbowl garage permit, we want to make sure that they park in that location. On the next slide, I'm going to go into more details on cross parking rules, but we do want to encourage our students to park in their designated lot. We wanna also encourage our students to observe the posted signage. We understand that the students coming in, they're lost in that they're just huge university. They're not really sure what this lot is or the name of that lot, but we have very nice tall signage that indicates what kind of permit they're supposed to have in order to park in that location and from what time to what time. So they can see that. Also on our website, we have a map, a very nice interactive map where they can see where all the parking lots are located at. Also, we want to encourage our students to park in a parking space. What we see a lot is that students, they park on the sidewalk, they park on a dirt area. So we want to make sure that our students park on an area that it's a designated parking space. And the way you know that it's a parking space, it's because you'll see two white lines on the space. So that tells you that's a parking space. So you're okay to park there. And also, we want to encourage our students to register the plate to the permit, because when the community service guards, they go to the lots, they want to make sure that there's a correlation between the permit number and the license plates. So it is the student's responsibility to let us know when they change vehicles. So if they sold the vehicle and it's no longer theirs, We want them to tell us that that car doesn't belong to them anymore, so we can remove it and add the new vehicle. We understand that when you purchase a new vehicle, you don't get the license plates right away. You get a VIN number. So when you get the new vehicle, please provide us with the VIN number. As soon as you receive your plates, please let us know that you have the new plates so we can replace that information into the account. If for some reason you have multiple vehicles, we can add those vehicles into the permit, but please know that only one vehicle can be on campus at a time. Okay, so now you ask, okay, so what happens after we do get a citation? In the unfortunate event that you get a citation, any enrolled student can submit an appeal. The address is parking.utep.edu/appeals. Also, that information is found on the back of the citation as well. It's important to know that if a citation is past 18 days grace period, the student has to pay for the citation before they can submit the appeal. If the citation is within the 18 days when it was issued, then they don't have to pay. They can just go online to parking.utep.edu/appeals and they can appeal for that citation. It's important to know that we do have two types of citations that we don't allow to appeal, and that would be illegal entry and meter parking. Earlier, I mentioned cross parking rules. So again, we want to encourage our students to park in their designated lot. But in this table you see here, let's use the first permit there that it's listed, a remote permit. So if your student has that permit, they have to park in their lot from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. But after 3 o'clock, they can park in those lots, which is a perimeter in silver. Now you wonder, okay, well, where are these lots? Again, each lot, as you drive in at the entrance, there's a sign and it tells you what kind of what kind of lot it is, if it's a perimeter or a silver. Also, after 4 p.m., with this type of permit, the students can park in the Schuster garage or the Sambo garage. Then after 5 p.m., with this type of permit, they can park inside campus. So this is very nice for those students that have classes later on in the day. They can park inside campus, but it's very important, again, to read signage because we do have some reserved spaces inside campus. Those spaces are reserved 24/7, 365. So we want to leave those spaces open for the owners of the space. So we ask to respect those spaces, as well as ADA spaces if the student is not ADA. But this is just an example of how to read this box. This information, we also have it on our website, on our main page. Highly encourage for the student to go there and review that. If they have any questions, feel free to call us or email us and we can explain this a little bit further. But as the student gets familiar with campus, with the permits, this is going to be easy information for them to understand. Okay, and I'll leave this next slide to Ms. Nayeli.
Thank you, ma'am. Would it be possible to pull up the campus map?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So that'll give us a good opportunity to discuss a little bit about our transportation side and also show you guys more or less like how you can all look at the map so you understand the different locations that we're talking about.
Okay.
So this is a beautiful map that you can see from our campus, and it's very well designed, very well labeled. And right now you're going to see the different locations that we have. So if you hover over any of the colored areas, it'll let you know which lot it is. And the permits have that specific location within them. And as you're purchasing them, you can also tell. So when you're thinking about purchasing a permit, especially if you're not very familiar with the campus, you would want to look at the map. You would want to look at what locations are listed on your schedule. So you can go ahead and compare, okay, what permit best fits my needs, right? But with that being said, what about transportation? So we have, if can you show us maybe a remote lot, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have different locations around the campus. Obviously, we know it's a big campus, but we do have a transportation system. Before I get into the details of that, I do want to share with you all that because of COVID, we had to, I guess, let go of that service for this particular year, which is academic year 2019-2020. The reason being is because we are a self-funded organization, so we do not receive any funding from tuition and fees or anything university related. So we get our paychecks and our services are paid by the permits because usually that's the source of income that we have. The transportation system is actually free to the students. We only have one route this particular year because again, most people were remote, so it just didn't make sense to have a full-on transportation operation, but we do have a route that goes from Minor Canyon because that's our housing location that's the furthest away from campus, and it goes all the way towards Minor Alley, which is like right by the entrance of the main campus. So those students have those services there. Um, but our plan is to go ahead and redevelop this whole transportation system again, where you're going to have those routes that address the extremes of the different areas of campus. So housing is one of them. People that are in the pharmacy program or the health sciences program, some of them are in the Campbell building, which I'm not even sure it's in the map because it's a bit further away. And we did have back then a shuttle that would go to that building and then bring people closer to the campus. So the commute was much smaller. We are working on reorganizing the routes. We're going to make sure that there are buses running for the students. So whether they park in these green areas or they park maybe in the blue areas a little bit down the line, but are not as close to the main campus as everybody would like, we will make sure that, you know, there are those buses running so they have that flexibility of transportation and getting them closer to the campus. Like I said, it is a work in progress. We will have them ready for this year. We don't have, unfortunately, a lot of information to provide on that, but we are restructuring that whole operation and we're going to have everything available on the website. So something that we had before is that there was a schedule on the website letting you know what times the buses ran and also what areas of campus did they cover. And we're going to have that the same way. So your student has that ability to look at it, make their arrangements if they know that they need to go from one extreme to the campus, from one extreme to the other, then they'll be able to organize their time to get to the location that they want to be. Usually with how our buses run, they run on maybe a 5 to 10 minute interval. So once a bus leaves from the stop, there should be another bus coming in within 5 to 10 minutes for that same route. So it is very convenient. It's just a matter of people using it. And our buses are ADA accessible for anybody that would need them. And we make sure that we have enough staffing, especially in the beginning of the semester when there's a lot more people using it than usual. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. And that's all we have. We'll leave it open to any questions that anybody might have.
Definitely. Someone in the chat actually posted a question, and it says they had returned their permit for a prorated refund because their sons had been virtual fall and spring semesters. However, one of them will be on campus the second summer session. Will they need to repurchase the permit, or how would they go about that?
Ms. Nayeli, do you want to answer that?
Yes, ma'am. So yes, they would need to go ahead and repurchase the permit. Right now, they are at very reduced rates. I think that we're looking at maybe $25 for some of them for the rest of the year. So they are available. They just need to let us know which location they would want, and the permit would be effective from the time of purchase up until August 15th of this year.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself now as well. Si alguien tiene preguntas, lo pueden poner en el chat o también aquí pueden quitar el micrófono y pueden hacer la pregunta si tienen una.
Melissa, I have a question regarding the shuttle. How will COVID restrictions be put into place for that?
Thank you. That's a very good question. So we are working with the environmental health department that we have at UTEP to make sure that we follow the proper protocols. At this point in time, they're only allowing 5 people within the bus. This may or may not change. We just need to get direction from EH&S first.
And will the number of shuttles remain similar, or will you increase the shuttle number to adjust to those smaller numbers that are going to be in the shuttles?
We do have a very a limited fleet, if you will. So we do have a limited number of buses. We will maximize as much as we can, but we have to work within the constraints of the buses that we have.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question was, when will permits be available to purchase for the fall semester?
At the moment, we don't have an exact date, but it's in the month of July. And we sent a bulletin letting our community know when they will go on sale. So I suggest for the students to check their at minors.utep.edu email for that bulletin. They can also call us to find out the exact date, but to answer the question is sometime in July.
And adding a little bit to that, we want to make the experience as painless as possible. So for everybody to be able to buy a permit, well, especially on the student side, they need to meet this criteria. Number one, be enrolled for fall. So if they're still determining their schedule and it's not finalized by the time permits go on sale, the system will let them buy a permit because it doesn't think that you're going to come to school. So make sure that that's in place. And also, if you have any prior history with UTEP, any previous balances need to be taken care of. So if you owe money to the university, our application will also block you from purchasing a permit because it'll let you know that you have a financial hold.
So you recommend first them checking to make sure they're clear on holds or like any payments, and I'm pretty sure that's under Pete's payment, that website, correct? Okay.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Another question, are shuttles available for other groups on a special request basis, such as for visitors or a special activity?
They are available, so we do take in requests. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have COVID to worry about, but if it's something that we can accommodate, then we definitely will. So it's just a matter of whoever needs our services to go ahead and reach out to us, and we try to work with you as best as we can to get that taken care of.
And then during a normal year, from like what time to what time, if COVID didn't exist, do your shuttles run until?
Well, in previous years, they've run from, I want to say 6:30 in the morning, 6:45-ish till 9. So that may change in the future, but that's the previous schedule that we had.
Yes, and then a comment, as a parent, I appreciate that you all took virtual learning into account and that you did issue refunds this time. So they really do appreciate that. Another question, are shuttles and or drivers equipped to assist in the event of a minor emergency?
Yeah, well, the drivers, they have specific protocols to let, I want to say control, but it's not control, to let dispatch know if there is an emergency. So at that point in time, when they notify us, then we take care of the rest. We contact whoever is necessary and then make sure that the driver at that location gets the assistance that they need. Mhm.
So I'm guessing you guys work very close to, I guess, police on campus, just because it
Yes,
is, parking lots and things like that.
very much so.
Here's another question. How many vehicles can you add to one permit, and how do you do that?
You can add more than 1, 3, 4 to the permit, but you only get one permit. So like I mentioned earlier, you can only have one vehicle with that permit on campus. So say for instance, I have two vehicles, I can't have both of them on campus because one would have a permit and one wouldn't. Um, and per policy, we can only have one vehicle at a time. But to answer your question, you can have multiple vehicles attached to that permit in our system.
And as far as how to do that, within our portal, our parking portal, when you log in, you do have that option to go ahead and add a vehicle to the permit that you have. Because like Betsy said, you want to make sure that you have those options whenever you need to take a different vehicle on campus, you have it registered and then you can just display your permit there. But one thing to keep in mind, and I hope I'm not being too detailed, Betsy, stop me if I am, is that if, for example, someone already has that vehicle registered and then you are going to use it now, or your son or your daughter is going to use it this time around, at that point in time, they cannot do it through the system. We do have virtual forms in place because the previous owner needs to relinquish ownership and the new owner would need to accept responsibility for that vehicle. But in general, if it's a new vehicle that has never been registered, you can just go online to your parking portal and go ahead and do that.
And to add to Nayeli's point, if the vehicle that we're trying to remove has a citation, it has to be cleared before we can remove that vehicle from that account.
Yes, and your portal makes it easy to switch vehicles, because there was one time where I had a flat tire, so I had to switch the vehicle, and it's just a matter of inputting. I think it was like your license, the license plate, I think register the VIN or something, and it does that.
Yeah.
Here's another question. This parent attended a parent orientation in 2018, and they had mentioned to students they could go to any yellow box on campus that has a phone and request help. Can you speak to that, please? I don't know if you all know more about that. I don't know if it's yellow. I think it may be blue, the blue phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then as far as what the help, is it like an emergency type of help that they would need?
No, it was just if you can speak to that, like what does the phone do, or do you all know where that phone goes to, or if they request help, is it just going like to 911? Do you guys know anything of that one?
I know it's connected to UTEP Police Department, and I know that people can dial that number when they have an emergency or they see that someone needs help in that area. But I don't have more information on that.
Okay, awesome. Another question. The questions are just coming in. Do parking, I know, right? Do parking garages and parking spaces on campus provide some liability insurance in the event of vehicle damage?
That's a very good question. Betsy, I see you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that no, the vehicle is parked at, I guess, sounds bad, at owner's expense. I mean, really, if there is a damage to the vehicle, the university or the department is not responsible for that. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Ms. Nayeli.
Generally, what Betsy said is the case. We have very special cases where something related to our facility might have caused a damage, but that needs to be assessed by the university. For the most part, it's exactly like Betsy said. But there have been special instances with, maybe faulty technology, and those are taken on a case-by-case basis, but there is research behind it.
Awesome, thank you. Another question was if you could tell us about the traffic ticket process, if you need to pay or to refute.
So I think they're referring to the appeal process. Is that correct? If a citation is issued? So yes, if the student is enrolled, and if the citation is not the meter citation or an illegal entry, they can appeal it if it's within the 18-day grace period. If it's over the 18 days within 30 days, they have to pay the citation in full before they can appeal for the citation. Any citation looking into appealing it after the 30 days, that it already passed. It wouldn't be able to appeal that citation any longer.
And then someone just has a comment that says during their first year, they registered 2 vehicles in case they needed to switch cars for whatever reason. The permit was one we hung from the rear view, but the following year it was a removable sticker that could be peeled off. So they say, please consider the ones that hang off from the mirror again. Just, yeah, I never thought of that. If you're switching, well, what if it doesn't stick again? Do you guys have any recommendations? If it is appeal, how do we go about switching it? Does it keep the stick forever?
Well,
You know,
go ahead, ma'am.
go. Oh, no, sorry, ma'am.
No, and that's an excellent question now. We get that a lot. So the stickers are made in a way that the adhesive it can be removed and in place again on the other vehicle. The advice that we give is that when it's transported from one vehicle to the other, that it's protected, it's not gonna get dirty with dust or dirt. And then when you're placing it on the other windshield, we want to make sure that the window is clean, it's not dirty. So if that is done carefully, it can last. That's how
Right. No, and that's a very good point because these, even the sticker-based permits are designed that way. The one hang tag that we have for students is only for the garages, and the only reason why they're designed that way is because they have the RFID in the back of the permit that is needed from the system to read that we can't put on stickers. But for students, all of their other permits outside of garages are sticker-based, but they are designed to last, like Betsy said.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then the other one is, are there any plans for extending shuttle service to the outer areas of the county, or will service remain solely campus-based?
Generally, the shuttle services are for our UTEP community. We do have special instances or services where we need to transport from the campus to somewhere else in the county. But outside of that, like to bring students in at that point in time, we rely on the regular transportation system from the city. So Sun Metro would be used to get you as close as possible to UTEP. And within UTEP, our routes are designed to cover the inner areas of the campus for transportation.
Awesome, thank you. Does anyone else have any more questions? I think I'm up to date with these questions here. Well, let me just see if nothing else pops up. Thank you all so much. And as you all can see, they have their contact information if you all have any questions at parking@utep.edu. I feel like you guys probably do get a lot of emails. How long do you think it'll take to get just say a response from you, or like what is the average time?
We try very hard when it's not what we call rush period. We try very hard to respond within 4 hours, but if it's not rush period, we try to do it within two hours.
Okay, awesome. I actually did get another question. As a student, I have all online classes except for one class next semester. Do you recommend still purchasing a permit?
I'm a math person, so I'll tell you the options if you don't buy a permit. We have visitor parking lots. So at that point in time, it's maybe $13 a day. So if you're there 10 times, maybe 12 times, you're already paying for a permit. So might as well, and you have more flexibility with the permits when it comes to cross parking, where it's better to do it that way. You can, maybe start at the visitor parking lot, but eventually it adds up. So we just recommend the permit because at that time, you already get that space or that reservation, and you would have it available for the spring as well. So we highly recommend the permit. It's just better overall, even financially. But the decision is always with the customer.
Definitely, definitely. And it's true as well as like the time of day as well, maybe when your class is. Because if it is in the afternoon, then the evening parking
Right.
permit probably wouldn't hurt at all. Yeah, that's a good one. And then yeah, because now with all this mixture and things like that. All righty. And yeah, a lot of appreciation for your timely response. A lot of people are saying that they can attest to this, that you all do respond in a timely manner. Another one that's a very COVID question. Will there be a requirement for users and riders to wear a face mask on the shuttles?
We've had that requirement going on just for the safety of everybody. I think it will be highly encouraged, but we have to go by the laws that from the state and from the city. So they're definitely encouraged, but we have to go with whatever the law decides.
Definitely, I understand that. Okay, any other questions before we finish this off? You all can put them in the chat. While we see if anything pops up, I want to thank you both so much for taking time out of your afternoon, for taking time to answer these questions and let us know. I know parking is always maybe can be a little anxious ridden, especially for incoming students. I remember being a student and being like, where do I park? What is this? Do I want to walk? What's a shuttle? Where am I going? So I really do thank you so much for that. And I don't see any other questions, but again, if anyone has any questions, you all can email them at parking@utep.edu, and they'll have their website as well as their phone number here with any other questions. Again, thank you all so much for joining us, Betzania and Nayeli, as well as all of our participants who joined us today. Thank you so much. We really appreciate this. It's a very important topic, and we hope that we answered and calmed down some anxieties that deal with parking. And I think that's it for now. So if you all have any other questions, I'll see you on the chat, on Zoom and on the chat. But for the rest of you, have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you all. And thank you, Raquel. I was reading your comments, so I'll share that with the rest of our team.
Yes, Raquel. We're recording it, and hopefully by next week we should have it up on our parents' website. I'll make sure to we'll put our website on here so you can see that, as well as past sessions that we've had with other organizations. So let me get that URL for you in the chat. So I linked the recorded sessions, so that's where you'll see that. And then let me link the actual website for a parent session if you ever have any other things that you need. So I'll leave that. And thank you all. Thank you so much. Betzania, your dog is adorable.
Sorry, I didn't know she was there. My apologies.
She was playing like for like 5 minutes. She was like staring at you. Like she's like, that's my mom. Like, she's doing a presentation. And then the other time she's like playing with like her stuffed animal. And I was just like, this is what makes working from home a blast.
Yeah.
Right.
I had to move my a few times because she gets excited when she sees the people across the street. I have a park, and she gets too excited. She wanted to jump on me. I'm like, no, never now.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I think Raquel probably has received the links, and then so we'll end it and we'll let you all know if we get any questions on our end to forward to you all.
Thank you so
Definitely.
much,
Thank you.
Betsy. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you. And Nayeli, you're always, I know, we know this is a very, very difficult and busy time for you all. So thank you for making the time and for being a resource to our parents and to our students. So we try to make it interactive by asking all kinds of questions that we
Thank
received
you.
from parents in the past. That way we can provide that information. Sometimes they're shy about it, and we try to be those individuals that are posing all kinds of questions. But thank you for your willingness to come to today, and we'll continue to do these sessions, and maybe at a later time we'll bring you for another topic. And definitely homecoming is coming. So
I know. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. You all have a good night.
Likewise,
Thank
thank
you.
you,
You
everybody.
too.
Bye.
bye.
Bye.